Welcome to Human Not Superhero, a show for educators where we embrace a balanced life and being human. Please drop in the comments where you are watching this video from. I want to just see where all the educators are out there, and tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. It's story time. In tonight's episode, we are going to be talking about the importance of self-care, a cautionary tale for educators. Self-care while supporting others feels like an insurmountable obstacle. What self-care looks like is making your desires a priority. My journey to self-care will show you that you can prioritize yourself without guilt or the feeling like you are neglecting other areas of your life. So I'm going to dive right in with you and tell you my story from teaching is all my life is to a balanced teacher life, and what happened to prompt that, and what happened to prompt me to help other educators seek out the life that they desire. So let's get right into it. Before self-care, what was my life like before that word? And I'll tell you, it was burnout, it was overwhelm, it was never-ending tasks. I lived in this constant state. Some of you as educators may be able to relate to this, especially for the past couple of years, but it was constant and it was continual. But this was before the pandemic. Before that. This was from the beginning of my career, from day one. But guess what? I also had this perceived happiness and these skewed beliefs about what I was doing, and I had an addiction to service. Just read that again, because what we do is service, y'all. A service job. I had an addiction to service. That's right. I probably put on my superhero cape every day. I thought I was making the biggest difference in the world. I had overcome so many obstacles to get through school, to get certified, and I was all in, and I did everything I thought a teacher was supposed to do that you're not supposed to do. It's not healthy for you. And in the end, it's really not good for your students, right? We say a rested educator is an effective educator, but I was like blissfully unaware. Even though I was in all of this overwhelm, I was addicted to what I was doing. I was so happy. Everybody like, oh my gosh, you're in your happy place. You're laminating, you're cutting, you're doing all this. All day, all night, at home. My whole life was consumed with teaching. And I thought because I loved making centers and I loved getting things ready for my kids that my life was balanced. I was making all of my personal children's birthday parties and big events. But my life wasn't balanced. I was lying to myself, thinking, well, it makes me happy. This makes me happy, so I must be doing something right because I'm happy. The teaching addiction can invade your life with a false sense of purpose. I was addicted to purpose. Everything I did had to align with the purpose of serving the community, giving to my students, their families, and I neglected my own family, and that became glaringly apparent to me. So if you're an educator, it's like, man, I love doing all this stuff in the summer and on the whatevers, and just keep following my story. Just stay with me a little longer, because I was you. I was happy when I had my Scotch laminator out. I was happy when I was printing new stuff from TPT. I was happy when I was using the iris boxes and getting stuff from my room. Just stick with the story. The breaking point. I had a breaking point. So I said I was addicted to teaching, to the purpose of teaching, and it was an addiction. And then I hit rock bottom. And that happened in a few phases, but this was the breaking point. Of course, March 2020 comes and my commute ends, so I absolutely loved where I worked. I also did not want to work in the same district my kids went to school for my own reasons, but I really loved the district that I was in. And to be able to do that, I had to drive an hour and a half one way and an hour and a half back, so 3 hours a day on the highway to get to my campus. Once COVID came and I was working from home, I was still working all day, but I noticed like, it dawned on me all the time I spent in the car. Those 3 hours, not to mention all the other work. So that kind of like pushed me a little bit to just be like, okay, I do not want to get home so late every night, so I'm going to apply to the district where I live. I did get a job there, and I was like, okay, I'm going to save time, and I'm actually work like 10 minutes from where I live. So that was a move in the right direction. But that really wasn't the breaking point. That was just a move in the right direction. The breaking point was June 2020, and that is when the condition came. So up until this point, I was addicted to teaching. It was purposeful. I was doing something great. Then I got home. I was like, oh, okay, I can do something great, but I can do it closer to home. That'll give me some time back. Great. Then I got sick. In June 2020, I had my very first ever episode of my condition. In that time, I spent the entire summer on the couch. Doctors did not know what was wrong with me. It took until October 2020 for them to figure out what was happening with me. But what was happening was the fact that I was completely paralyzed. I couldn't do anything. Not like physically paralyzed, but mentally paralyzed because something was happening with my body, but I didn't know what it was. And I would lay on the couch, and time would go so slow, and I was in so much pain that I would just be like, why? Like, it seems like time just slows down when you're in pain. And my husband would have to force me to get up, and he would walk me, literally hold me and walk me. It was horrific. It was traumatic because they didn't know what was wrong. Nobody could tell me anything. And then finally they could. But by that time, my condition had gotten really bad. And I suffered with malnutrition, and I suffered with a whole slew of other things. I literally only had about 5 to 6 hours of energy a day, and there was not enough coffee under the sun to keep me going. That summer, the summer where I would usually dive into prepping and doing these things that I thought were fun, I lay on a couch, and my kids would come talk to me, and I got to talk to them a lot, and my husband a lot more, because there wasn't a computer in front of my face. So even though I was going through something very horrific, it peeled away the fact that I was physically present for all these years at home, but I wasn't mentally present. That I had given my whole life to teaching. I didn't even know what to do with myself because I wasn't working. But through all of this, I knew I didn't want to devote my entire life to my job. What I realized is you miss that which you are not present for, and your presence is physical and mental. I know some teachers who sit and cut out centers with their own children and think that they're spending quality time with their kid. You're working. You're physically there working with your kid, but you're not mentally fully present on them and their needs. And I'm just really sad that it took me so long to figure it out, because like I said, this was before all the past 3 years and all the crazy that happened, that I missed those moments, my life, my time, that I can't get back. So through all this, I had to make a decision, because I did love teaching, but I knew I didn't want to give my whole life to work anymore. I knew I didn't want to leave teaching. I was also sick, and it didn't matter what, even if I had wanted to keep going full steam ahead, there was no way my body was going to be able to do that anymore. It was confirmed my condition is chronic. There is not a cure, and I spend most of my time trying to keep at certain metrics so that they don't have to take the next more aggressive step to keep me alive. So I had to make a decision based on all that, because teaching is my passion as far as a job, and I wasn't ready to let that go. But now I'm sick, and it's scary, and I want to spend time with my family and enjoy them and great things are happening in my kids' lives, even though they're grown-ups. Like, that's a whole nother great phase, and I want to be a part of it and be more present because I wasn't in the past. So I had to make a decision. I had no choice except to take off my superhero teacher cape. I didn't have a choice. I physically didn't have a choice if I wanted to keep teaching. And mentally, for my well-being, and to get me through, and to still get me through, I can't be a superhero teacher. That's not real. That is not real. Superhero is not real. And I had to embrace being a human being. I rediscovered what matters most, at the same time realizing I could still be an effective educator. Yes, I did. That hits me so hard because for all those years I thought to be a good teacher, I had to only be a teacher. That was the only way to be effective and good and do what needed to be done. And because I didn't have a choice, really, to slow things down, and because I chose to not, had I kept trying to even halfway do what I used to do, I would have come home every day, lay in my bed, and went to sleep and not woken up. There's still days that I go to bed early, so because I only have so much energy. But I'm building it back. I'm healing-ish. I'm building it back. So I just did what I could during contract hours. And Lord have mercy, I'm still an effective teacher. I didn't have to do all that other stuff. My kids were still showing growth. I'm just going to be real. My class this year, it's not easy. It's not easy for so many because, you know what? We went through stuff. The kids went through stuff being at home. It's just different. But I realized I'm still effective because I can do for my students what nobody else can do. And they're growing. I just did end of the year testing. Boring, snooze fest. Can't stand that stuff. But they grew. They grew. Way more than I thought. I was like, wow. Crazy. Way more than I thought. But they grew. So even though I have a balanced life, I'm still an effective teacher. And I clock in and I clock out and I do my job and what needs to be done for my kids. And I don't have to do what I used to do. I don't have to do it. You might be thinking, Shannon, there is no way. There is a way. And you can go to our website anytime and get that way for free. I have devoted and dedicated my life to this because it is so liberating. But summer is almost here. Some people are already on summer. So I have something special for you. Because you're probably like, there's just no way. Remember, I got sick in the summer. I want you to go to makewaveseducation.com/habits. And I want you to get the 5 habits to start now so that teacher tasks don't take over in the fall. Right now. I want you to get that right now. I'm going to put the link in the description in the comments. That's what you need. 5 habits you can start now so teacher tasks don't take over, so you can have that balanced life, so that you can be present and do all the things. Because see, what I learned through all of this is a title doesn't define your identity. I thought it did. I thought being an educator was my whole identity. And it's not. Who I am, Shannon without the cape, vulnerable, going through all this stuff, but who I am makes me the teacher that I am. Teaching is not my identity anymore. I identify with myself, put myself first, and I know y'all think, ooh, self-care, that's an ugly word in education right now. Please, no, put it first. Please, once again, go get 5 habits to start now so teacher tasks don't take over, because it's a proactive approach to a balanced life. And so that's my story. That's why I said it's story time. Not a ton of tips here for you, except the fact that it's possible. And one day I'll share more of my story with you. But it was devastating. It was eye-opening. And okay, so I love watching Arrow. Shout out CW. Love Arrow. But they talk about crucibles on there. And I went through my own crucible that brought me from a place of being addicted to unhealthy work patterns, feeling like I was happy and serving a purpose, so it was all good, to being brought to my knees and I couldn't even move, literally couldn't move, and having the wool pulled off my eyes on the importance of having a balanced life in every single area. And then through the process, I discovered you don't have to overwork to be a great teacher. And ever since then, it has been my mission to help teachers just like you, just like me, a little different than me, a little different than you, create the life they desire in all areas, in teaching, in life, everywhere, because everybody is unique. Everybody's different. You'll know what I like to say. It's never too late to start a new story. I started a new story completely. And it's not too late to start your new story for whatever you desire. Your desires. Not mine. Yours. What does your life, your ideal reality look like? Not as an educator, but as a person. As a person. And so this was my cautionary tale about self-care, because I was always really good at helping other people self-care, but not me. And then I learned. And now I just want to share that it's possible. It's possible. What seems impossible is possible, and I want you to be encouraged. So next week, and for the next few weeks, we're going to take back the word self-care. And we're talking about making time for self-care. And we're going to go through those things, because summer's coming, y'all. Take the teacher hat off. Summer's coming. You don't get paid to work in the summer. So let's work on putting ourselves first. Let's work on human first. Because once you get down human first, everything falls into place. You can start that right now by going to makewaveseducation.com/habits to get the 5 habits to start now. Now. Not right before you go back to school. Now. So that they're already set in place so that you can have a balanced life, so that when fall comes, teacher tasks do not take over. So go grab that. I will see you guys next week. I love you all. Thank you for listening to my story. And I can't wait to hear your new story. I really can't. Y'all know I say I love a good story. I can't wait to hear yours. I will see you all next week.